Um, Hello, everybody. Welcome to EDT 520. I promise that at least once this semester, I will flip 520 and 530. I wish, for my own way of thinking, I wish that they went numerically. So 520 was Tuesday and 530 was Wednesday. My brain always wants to flip them the other way around. So for those of you, especially those of you who are in both classes, I will try to keep it straight as much as possible, but every once in a while. But um, 520, this is the official title of the class in the catalog and everything is e-learning. What we have decided for the last many years is in terms of a focus for this particular class within the context of the educational technology program is to focus largely on the issue of games and gaming in education and instruction. So we could call the class gaming, except I guess the feeling is that if we called the class gaming, that other classes on campus might get upset at us for saying that we're doing gaming. But we are looking at it from an instructional, educational standpoint. So that's our own particular take on it. So uh, it's a fun class. I always have a lot of fun with it. We get to express a fair amount of creativity in this class in terms of developing this idea of gaming within an instructional context. We have also, over the last few years, and honestly, this was largely triggered with the beginning of the COVID experience and a lot of instruction moving online. We used to pair up this class or also include in this class a little bit about animation. But especially with the move to online and a lot more people using online platforms and so on, we decided that it made more sense as a pairing to talk a little bit in this course also about programming. And I'm hoping that by saying the word programming, I'm not going to scare anybody away. We are not going to be getting into really technical computer programming languages or anything like that. But again, kind of focusing on some tools that could be used in an educational setting that not only will allow you to maybe create some things that you could use in your classrooms as tools, but also um, maybe your students or things that maybe you can introduce to your students and have them use as well if you want to make some different types of projects in your classes and so on. So we will be using programming in this class, again, focused on gaming. We will basically be using this online programming platform to create elements of a game. Not necessarily that we're going to create online games, but we're going to use it to create elements that could be used in a game so that if you have students that are not in the same physical location, they could use some of these things. Like you could create a deck of cards that they could use, or a pair of dice, or a game board, or something like that. So that's the really, really quick. We'll get into a little bit more detail in a bit as we go into um, looking a little bit more at the syllabus. But before we go any further, I want to take a moment to do a quick introduction of myself and give each of you a chance to just really quickly introduce who you are. I know many of you I had last semester in the 515 class. Others are new faces to me, and others have been in the program before, but in previous years and are taking this class this year. So we do have a mix of people here, and just want to give everybody a chance to do a quick introduction, and we get a kind of get an idea of the range of experience and subject areas and so on here. So I'll start with myself. I am Professor Miller or David Miller. It really doesn't matter to me. I'm not super stickler about titles as far as that goes. I am actually a graduate of the Educational Technology Master's Program at Central. It's been far enough long ago that I can't actually remember off the top of my head what year I finished the program. Um, but it was, I think, somewhere around 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. So I've been through the program. At the time that I went through it, Dr. Abed was one of the main professors. So I was a student of his, lo those many years ago, and now consider myself fortunate to be a colleague of his. Um, my day job, when I'm not teaching in the ed tech program, is I am a high school music teacher. I teach in regional school district number 10 in Connecticut, which, if you don't know all of your regional school districts, is fine. But Region 10 is the two towns of Burlington and Harwinton, Connecticut. If you go through Farmington on Route 4 and then just stay on Route 4, the next town you go into is Burlington. And if you stay on Route 4 after that, the next town you hit is Harwinton. So we're kind of heading up into the Litchfield Hills area. I've been in the district for 23 years. I've taught every grade level in the district except for grade 6. I don't know why I skipped grade 6, but it's what it is. I've done band, I've done chorus, I've done general music. Most of what I do right now is actually rock ensemble, which is a blast. So I teach several sections of student rock bands in school and get to do concerts and things like that. Yes, my master's was in educational technology, but technology has always been a key component of kind of everything I've found myself connected to. So whether that is teaching, whether it's as a performing musician, which I am as well, I am also an audio engineer. So I've done a lot of work on that front. My other life, if that isn't enough, is as a theater technician. I used to work at the Hartford Stage Company for about 10 years as their lighting and sound supervisor. So I've been involved in technology from a theatrical standpoint. So, yeah, my connections to technology kind of run the gamut across the board. So I enjoy getting a chance to teach these courses and to share my experiences, but also hope to learn from each of you and your backgrounds and your experiences and what you bring to the class as we move forward. So um, that's basically me in a nutshell. I will probably say other things about myself as we go, but I think that's enough to get started because I don't want to spend the whole evening talking about me. So let's just go kind of quickly around and just keep it quick. We don't need every detail of your life, but who you are, if you're currently a teacher, maybe where you teach and what you teach. If you're not currently a teacher, and I know we have several students that are not in sort of traditional educational settings, let us know that as well. And I don't know if there's a random fact or something you'd like to share about yourself. That's fine as well, but don't feel that you have to. Um, and I guess to keep this organized, because what happens on my screen is all the people start moving around in all of the Zoom windows. So just to make sure we've gotten to everybody, I would normally go in alphabetical order, but I know that then the people at the end of the alphabet always get upset that they're always left to last. So we'll go in reverse order alphabetically this time around. So that means we're going to start with Jacob. So Jacob, if you just want to say a couple of quick things.
Hi, yes, my name is Jacob Tivier. It's very nice to be the first for once and not last. I love that. So thank you, Professor Miller. I currently am teaching math at Danbury High School. I'm on my third year. And fun fact, I just moved down to the Danbury area, so I've relocated. So I'm tired of moving. So that's all I got.
All right. Well, welcome back, Jacob. Um, let's see. Hannah, that puts you up next.
Hi, my name's Hannah Terrio. I teach third grade in East Lyme. I also just moved. I bought a condo in Brantford, so I have a little bit of a haul to get here. That's why I was a couple minutes late. It was 45 minutes, which why did I do that? I don't know, but here we are. So it's nice to see everybody.
Yeah, I used to live in Southington, which was about a half-hour commute each way. It wasn't too bad because there was never traffic. I was always going the opposite direction. But I moved about 10 years ago, so I'm now 2.4 miles from my school, which I have to say, in terms of a commute, it's beautiful. Like 5 minutes in the car, The only problem is my car doesn't have time to heat up on these cold days. By the time I get to school, it's just starting to get warmed up. But welcome, Hannah. Let's see, Alexis.
Hi, yeah, so I'm Alexis. I work at Smalley Elementary School in New Britain, and I'm a STEAM teacher. So I teach grades K through 5 on a 6-day rotation.
All right. Welcome, Alexis. And I should also say, I mean, obviously, I'm going off of whatever like name list came from Central. Obviously, if there's a name you prefer to be called, please just let me know, and I will try to make those adjustments as well as we go forward. So, all right, let's see. Cody is up next.
Hi everyone, I'm Cody. I'm not teaching currently because I just actually did my undergrad with Central with elementary education, so I'll be looking for a full-time job come the start of next year.
All right. So just biting the bullet, getting the masters out of the way right out of the box.
Exactly.
All right. What did you say, elementary ed, or what's your
Elementary ed, yes.
Okay. So, all right, welcome. Let's see. We've got who's next? Julia is going to be up next.
Hi, I'm Julia. I work at a residential treatment center. I work with teenagers that suffer mental health illness, substance abuse, and things like that. This is my first year working there. I got my degree in elementary ed, and I kind of just landed here. So we'll see if I ever do end up in elementary ed. But I'm liking where I am so far.
All right. Yeah, lots of challenges there. I give you lots of credit. So, let's see. Where are we up to next? Jess.
Hi there. I apologize for the mask. I know I'm on a screen, and it would be nice to actually see my face. This is it.
It's all good.
I'm Jess Nelson. I teach 7th grade math in Clinton, Connecticut, and I have 3 children. So that's a fun fact. And I'm currently waiting with my oldest one before she gets into the pool. So I'm at a YMCA right now.
Oh wow. I know swimming right now is not the first activity I would pick. I know it's indoors, but that's the thought of swimming right now as I look outside and see the ice on the ground. But all right, well, welcome, Jess. Cassie.
Hi, I'm Cassie Myers. I teach 8th grade math in Manchester, Connecticut. Obviously, we're in Connecticut. And this is my 3rd year teaching. I also have a background in elementary. I landed in middle school, but I might head back down that way sometime soon.
All right. Welcome back, Cassie. Let's keep the ball rolling. Tyler.
Hey, I'm Tyler Morey. I've been teaching at North End Homes Elementary Schools in New Britain for the past 6 years now as a elementary art teacher. And as far as fun facts go, I'm super excited to watch the Book of Boba Fett episode that's coming out today when I get home. If anyone has seen my mug or not, so.
Awesome. Yeah, I admit to being somewhat of a sci-fi geek, so yes, that Wednesdays for me means Book of Boba Fett. So I'll be right there with you once class is over. All right, well, welcome back, Tyler. Let's see, Carrie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie. I'm a high school math teacher at Kinsella Performing Arts School in Hartford. This is my 2nd year in Hartford, but my 7th year teaching overall. I'm originally from New York.
All right. Welcome, Carrie. James.
Hi, everyone. My name is James McGovern. I'm currently a 6th grade elementary school teacher in my hometown of Weathersfield, and I teach writing and reading to each of the classes. And this is my 3rd year of teaching as well.
All right. Welcome, James. Yeah, I guess I sort of keeping track here, but it keeps boggling my mind that that we have teachers who are in their 2nd and 3rd years who have never had a normal year of teaching yet, which kind of staggers me. I can't imagine how you all are doing it. So credit to you all. Jolie.
Hi,
I am a sixth, seventh, and eighth grade reading and language arts teacher. I rotate. I'm in a special program in Waterbury. I actually teach at the middle school I went to, and I am a swim coach to go with everybody else. So I coach swimming for the Southington YMCA.
Oh, okay. All right. Welcome, Jolie. Let's see, Anna.
Hi, my name's Anna. I'm an art teacher. I currently work at a clinical setting, residential boys ages 13 to 17. School is year round and admissions is rotating, so it's not from September to June. It's year round, and we can get anywhere from 2 students that are leaving and then 5 new students. So it's constantly going. So overall, I've been teaching for about 10 years. 7 of those years are in clinical setting. About 2.5 years are the public school. So I do like working in the clinical setting much more than a public school, though. Even though it's intense and crazy, I prefer that.
All right. Well, welcome back to our class. Let's see. We are up to Rachel.
Hi, I never usually have to wait this long.
I'm
It's always the
sorry. Yeah, that's always the flip side. Then is the other half.
Yeah. My name's Rachel Casasanta. I'm an eighth grade social studies teacher at Griswold Middle School in Rocky Hill. I was born and raised here, so I actually went to school here as well. And it's my second year, so I'm another one who has had zero regular teaching experience, mostly online stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome, Rachel.
Thank
and
you.
All right, down to our final two, Nicole.
All right, so I'm Nicole Carskio. I am a special educator in Berlin High School. I run the life skills program. I'm kind of embarrassed to say I've been teaching for 17 years. So I guess I'm a lot older than I should be for this course. But anyhow, here I lie. My special trait, I don't know, whatever it is. I have 2 kids, so pardon the craziness because they'll probably be running around because they get home and want dinner and mom. So we'll try and keep that at a minimum as best we can. And that's me. So
All
nice
right.
to meet you all, kind of, virtually.
All right. Well, welcome, Nicole. I've still got you beat. I'm at 23, so don't feel bad about 17. We say we're seasoned. We are experienced teachers, I guess, not old teachers. And Steph, finish us up here.
Sure. So I'm Steph Anderson. I'm not a teacher. I work at a mental health care startup, and I'm in charge of almost every department. So I won't list them all. It's been a fun adventure, and I actually graduated from Central with a social work degree in 2005. So it's been a long time since I was in school. And I guess the fun fact is I started out in mental health care crisis counseling, curved into corporate America, into leadership in HR, and then somehow landed at a startup for mental health care. So kind of come full circle. Like all of my life experience has helped me get to this one place. So.
All right. It's a journey. It's always a journey. So, all right. Well, welcome back, Steph. All right. This is basically, we actually have pretty much everyone here. There is one student that had not yet gotten registered into the Moodle. So we do potentially have one more student that will be joining us as well. But it's good to see everybody. It is a large-ish group, certainly compared to some of the sizes this course has been in the past. And that can be a little bit challenging, especially in these online environments. But I hopefully have been able to structure the class in a way that all of us will be able to have whatever meaningful contact you need to have with the course and with me in order to get what you want out of this class. So that's going to be a range of ways to interact with the class. I guess I should put it that way. And that's actually a good bridge into the next thing where I would like to talk syllabus and calendar and schedule and so on a little bit. So let me flip the screen over here to this, like so, and open this back up so that I can see everybody's smiling faces. So it's all on the Moodle. So, you can certainly look up any of this if you want to, but I will I'm just going to call up the syllabus here on the screen. And certainly not going to read through all of this. You all can read. I should assume that everybody can read. But just a couple things I want to point out. And mainly I want to talk about the schedule and about sort of how the class is going to meet from week to week and so on, because that's probably the trickiest thing of this whole thing. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time. This is my email address at the university. Hopefully you've all had a chance to sign up on the Remind as well. That's another way to get in touch with me. And also every week in the Moodle, the last item in every week's section will be a place for comments or questions or things like that. So anytime you have any questions about anything, especially because we are online and some weeks are going to be asynchronous and so on, that just feel free that you can reach out at any time. I will do my absolute best to respond to any communications, within a day, or within the end of the day following. So if you contact me in the afternoon on a Wednesday, expect that by the end of Thursday, you'll have some response back from me, just to kind of keep on top of that, and hopefully sooner, but lives get crazy and everything else. You've all obviously gotten into the Moodle, so I don't need to go through that. I've already talked a little bit about the sort of the philosophy of the course, that we're talking about gaming, gamification, a little bit about programming and sort of computational thinking things. The focus, generally speaking, in all of the courses in this program is not so much to teach you like a specific piece of software, but more to give you the tools so that whatever the particular platform is you're using, you know how to use it effectively and can apply it to whatever your particular situation is. Because, if we taught a specific piece of software 10 years from now, that software probably wouldn't exist or would be so different that it would be unrecognizable. So, even though in this class we're going to use, Scratch as a programming platform, it's more going to be about the thinking behind using that, so that whatever platform you might use for something like that, you'll be able to use. Series of course objectives here. I think they're all pretty straightforward and relatively self-explanatory. In terms of projects, basically there are going to be four main things that you complete and turn into me for assessment and comment and so on. About every other week or so, there will be some sort of Moodle-based activity. A lot of those will be forums, which are just a way for us to have conversations asynchronously, get some ideas out there, brainstorm some things, and so on. A lot of times, those forums will lead into real-time class discussions or to other things that we will be working on. So every other week, I don't know, maybe there's probably 5 or 6 forums across the length of the course and a couple of other things sprinkled in there. The interactive content project, this is the programming piece. And we are going to be using the Scratch platform. Some of you, particularly if you're math or STEM teachers, might already have some experience with Scratch. But essentially, it's an online programming platform, but it is designed for children and for younger students to be able to get into programming very easily. So we are going to use it as a way to learn how to create interactive web content or interactive online content without really needing to know a whole ton about programming languages and so on. So that will be, I just realized I don't know that I updated these due dates. So take those with a grain of salt. I just realized I might not have updated those, but that'll be one of our projects. Gamification project, and that is not a typo. Gamification is an actual word, It is a relatively new word, but it is an actual word now. And as you can tell from its name, it does relate to gaming, but in kind of a tangential way. So we're going to look at that because gamifying an activity is actually in some ways sometimes an easier thing to do in a classroom or another setting um, than to actually develop a full-on game out of something. So we're going to talk about what that is. Each of you is going to develop a plan to gamify some activity that you engage with and do a little write-up, a little plan and a write-up on that. And then really the main project is the actual game. And you will be designing and executing and developing an actual instructional game. It used to be that this was strictly a small group project in the days where we met only on campus, and that's the only way the class met. And it was super easy to break people up into groups and have them work together. With the last couple of years, we've gotten a little more flexible with that. So you will actually have the option to choose whether you want to work with a small group with the game project or work by yourself. And there's obviously advantages and disadvantages of either. So that'll be one thing to maybe just start thinking about whether you're somebody who would rather work collaboratively with a couple of other people, or whether you're somebody that prefers to be able to kind of have the control over everything as the project. So, but that's going to be sort of the big project of the class is that project there. So those four elements really form the core of the activities that we're going to be doing. Let's see, other things here. You know, this whole class cancellation thing, we still put it in here, but that all is obviously changed now that we're largely online as well. But there will be some days where I will be on campus and people will have the option to come on campus if they wish. So that might affect if we happen to have bad weather on some of those days. But I will also generally use Remind in those situations to send out a clarification about what might be happening on a particular night for a class. Attendance, you know, this one, again, there's going to be some flexibility in this because there are weeks of this class that are going to be asynchronous or asynchronous optional. So you don't it's not going to be necessarily the case that you have to let me know every week that you're not available for a class. But you know, the easiest thing to do is just to shoot me a quick email, especially if it is a week where there is an online component happening synchronously. Just let me know if you've got other things or other plans going on, just so that I, at the very least, know not to be sort of waiting for people to show up if they're not going to be there. So this whole unexcused absences that causing reductions in grades, that's kind of outdated a little bit. It's not just carte blanche to just not show up to class every week, but there is a lot more flexibility built around that. So I would say just as long as you're communicating, if there are weeks where we are doing something together and you're not available, just let me know ahead of time. I record every single class. I post the recordings usually by the next day. So if you do miss a class or a part of a class, you should be able to always go back and watch that part of the class and kind of get caught up. Let me know if you need any accommodations of any kind. You know, you can share that with me through email or whatever you would like to do. And yeah, I think the rest of this, you know, we can get into when we actually have things going on and look through that. So let me talk calendar. So I do have in the syllabus kind of a layout of the course, and it's as accurate as I can project it to be at this time. So, you know, we start obviously this week, spring break, that's central spring break. I know it doesn't line up with most of us who teach in public schools, but if you try to line that up, our normal spring breaks happen almost near the end of the semester. So I'm just going to keep the central spring break. So you do get a week off right in the middle of the course, in the middle of the semester. The 15th week is May 4th. Oh, that's Star Wars Day, May the 4th. So anyways, that is our last official class meeting. The week after that is finals week for Central. We don't have a final exam or anything in here, but you will have that additional week to get final projects turned in and so on and so forth. So that's kind of that's the overview of it. Where things get a little bit trickier is sort of how the class meets from week to week to week to week. And what I've tried to do, and I did this in the fall class, and so for those of you who had me in 515 in the fall, I'm trying to bring forward some of that approach as well. Essentially, what it boils down to is this. For this course, because of the nature of it, I do like to have a little bit more synchronous contact with the class, especially because many of you will be working in small groups and it's nice to be able to have that connection and so on. So the way that it ended up working out is basically every other week. So this week, week 3, week 5, week 7, on those weeks, I will be online on WebEx here, sort of the expectation will be some sort of a synchronous meeting of the class. So that is sort of one thing. So basically every other week that happens. But again, if there's one of those weeks where you just can't make it that week, it's not the end of the world. The class will be recorded. We will have ways to get you caught up. The alternate weeks, some of them, and I've put this into the Moodle. So even though you don't see content for the weeks in the Moodle, you see the headers for each week. So I've tried to put them in there so you can see it laid out there. But there will be weeks where there is a 4:30 WebEx class meeting, but I also put asynchronous optional. And that just means that what we will be doing those weeks are weeks where if you are somebody who prefers to work asynchronously, who just wants to go through the material on your own time, on your own schedule, then you don't necessarily have to come to the online meeting on those weeks. You certainly may, and of course, I know there's many of you who prefer to be there face to face as much as possible, and ask questions and have discussions and so on. But so if you see any of those weeks where it says 4:30 WebEx, asynchronous optional, that just means I will be on WebEx at 4:30. You may come and join me at 4:30. I will go through what we will be going through on that particular week. But if that's a week where you do not wish to attend or can't attend, it's perfectly okay. A lot of those weeks are weeks where I'm going through the Scratch programming stuff. So a lot of that is sort of very procedural, of just going through a bunch of things and sort of demonstrating how they work and so on. So it works out that way. The other thing that you will see, well, then there are weeks that are purely asynchronous. Week 4 is that way. Week 8 is that way. And then once we get after the spring break. So if it just says asynchronous, there will be no meeting that week. There's no expectation to be anywhere at a specific time. I will be posting all of the materials for that week's class just through the class Moodle. And particularly as we get towards the second half of the course, where a lot more of the work is going to be you just working on the game projects, either by yourself or in your groups, that's basically kind of like lab time weeks where you will just have the time to work in your group or work by yourself on your projects. So we've got sort of synchronous weeks. We've got synchronous weeks that have an asynchronous option, if you wish. We have completely asynchronous weeks. And then for this course, once we get past the spring break, you will see that the majority of the classes after spring break have lab time listed. And what this means is that on those weeks, I will be on campus in Barnard Hall in Lab 208. And you will have the option those weeks, if you wish, to actually come on campus and be in the lab, with me and whoever else shows up. Um, we're trying to take into account the fact that the university as a whole is trying to push getting back on campus and having actual face time with real people. Um, so for this course, once we kind of get past the spring break, many of those weeks, you know, even if it's an asynchronous week, I will still be on campus. So if you're working with a group and you want a place to come and meet with your group and do some work and have me there to answer questions or whatever, those weeks will be available for that as well. So that's what the lab time designation means, is that those are the weeks where I will physically plan to be on campus in the lab. And if you wish, those will be weeks where you can come in and work in the lab with me there and so on. So I know this is more confusing than, say, 3 years ago, where it was just, we just meet on campus every week and that's just the way it is. But hopefully, with this sort of range of options, it can help to accommodate sort of everybody's uh, desire in terms of how you want to interact with the course. I can't really make this course completely online asynchronous because there is material that really benefits from having real-time discussion. But with this class, I'm trying to balance that. So, you know, essentially roughly half the weeks of the course, it's not really necessary for you to be at a specific place at a specific time. Questions about any of that? I know this is probably a good place to open it up if anybody has questions about any of that, what it all means. I'm hoping that by putting it in the Moodle and having it here as well, that right now you could take your calendars and plan out all the way to the end of the course so that you know what weeks sort of things are happening and what weeks things aren't happening and can sort of work around that. And again, I recognize life happens. There will be synchronous weeks where not everybody is available. Just let me know on those weeks. And again, we will be recording. You will be able to get caught up with the material and so on. So, questions? All right, so related to that, I also, with these spring classes, like to bring up also and pose the following question. We are officially designated to meet from 4:30 to 7:10. Which I will say right off the bat, I never use the whole 2 3/4 hour time slot. It's too long for my brain to process. I'm sure for everyone else coming off of a full teaching day, trying to sit down and have a 2 4 3/4 hour class is too much. So even meeting at 4:30, I try to be done within like a 2 hour time frame. So hopefully wrapping up by 6:30 or so. With that said, and just going off of questions I've had in previous years, I also know that 4:30 time for some people can be a little problematic because, especially if you're elementary schools tend to get out at what, like 3:30, 3:45 sometimes, things like that. If you're having to drive home, blah, blah, blah. So knowing that probably any given week's class won't take up more than 2 hours or so, we do have the option, if it's workable or if it's desirable, to say push the meeting time of the course, say back a half an hour. And instead of thinking 4:30 to 6:30, thinking like 5 to 7. I don't want to really go any later than that because then we start pushing past what the initial ending time was, which was 7:10. So thoughts about that? I know we already today had a couple people who said, you know, it may take me a few minutes to get there on time. So I guess from either perspective, is there anyone who moving it 5 to 7, it would be a real problem? Or are there people who want to say, yeah, moving it to 5 to 7 would really help me out getting that extra half hour there? So feel free to just jump in, I guess, if you have.
I know for myself, I would prefer 5 to 7 only because of my commute. I mean, I live in Plainville, but I'm driving all the way east from East Windsor. back home, so I might get there for 30. So for me, 5 to 7 would be better.
Okay, there's a vote for 5 to 7. Anyone else want to counter that with a counter argument or support it? Or
5-7 works for me.
Yeah, I would say 5-7 works for me. On Wednesdays, at least at North End Homes, we have staff meetings until about 4:30, 4:45.
okay.
So as you can see, I'm still in my classroom right now.
So that might give you a chance to actually get home and
Yeah.
take the class from the comfort of your own home. All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like, unless somebody wants to, chime up now, but it sounds like shifting it back. I mean, I know that sort of puts things right on top of a traditional dinner hour, but most of us are teachers. We're used to eating whenever we can anyway. So let's plan on doing that. And again, this is basically only every other week, because the weeks that are asynchronous, it doesn't matter. And obviously a lot of those lab weeks, that won't really change anything anyway. So we'll just plan on any week where it's a synchronous meeting or I'm online and there's an asynchronous option. I will be starting those meetings at 5 o'clock instead of 4:30. And then I will just, make sure that we finish up by 7 o'clock so that we're not going past what was your original expectation for the course. So, all right, I will make adjustments both in the Moodle and anywhere else that I can easily make adjustments to that. But this would start with next week's class, which is a, we meet at 5 on WebEx, but it is a synchronous optional week, as an asynchronous optional week as well. So whoever wants to come next week would come at 5. Anyone who doesn't want to come next week, you would just have the videos the next day to look at. Okay. Whew. That's a lot. Let's see. I've gone over that, gone over that, gone over that, gone over that. Okay. All right. So, if there are any other questions, I mean, there's obviously a lot else in the syllabus. I do put this in the syllabus just, to be clear. I've laid out what I think will be due each week, but obviously, again, life happens. So the best thing, and this will always be in every week's Moodle, will be one of the last things will be homework due next week. So that would be the best place to look to get up-to-date information about what is actually due the following week or further. But this at least gives a rough idea of sort of how things lay out. I try to have the things in bold are sort of the more major pieces, and I try to spread those out so that we don't generally have big things due back to back or on the same week. So I'll try to keep those roughly in those places, but some of the smaller stuff around that may shift, may adjust. I know I already made an adjustment to the form number 1 in terms of its focus. So it's actually no longer called Inspirations and Aspirations, it's something else. So there's already been changes to the syllabus. Other things, ISTE standards, if you want to look at those, some other things. And then I do provide, and again, this is a little on the early side, so some things may change as we go through it, but the sort of the rubrics and the overviews for the Scratch project, for the gamification project, and for the full game project. So for those of you that like to kind of see where things are headed, I just caution everybody, because then other people will look at these and get completely overwhelmed from the start because they're looking at it going, oh, don't worry about that. Like, if you're somebody that gets overwhelmed like that, don't even bother looking at the rubrics for now. We will get into them as we go through each of the projects and so on. So, all right. So anything else that I can address right now, maybe related to syllabus or just kind of course overview kinds of topics? Anyone? Bueller? I'm glad some people smile. Not everyone. I'm realizing that movie reference is a little old now. So, all right. Well, what I would like to do, basically the other, main activity I would like to do tonight, because this is a class that is basically focused on games, is to talk a little bit about this basic question. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. Hopefully, I know on my screen things look bigger than they do to you, so I try to blow things up enough so that they're readable. But essentially, this question right here: what is a game? For you language arts teachers out there, when you try to develop a definition of something, basically what you're trying to do is establish what are the characteristics of this thing that make it different from every other thing out there, so that I can hold up something, look at the definition and say, yes, this is a game. No, that is not a game because it has this, the other thing, and so on. So just to kind of get the ball rolling initially on this, just throw out some ideas. What would be aspects, or what are characteristics that you think sort of must be in something in order for us to consider it a game? So I know with 15 of us, it's a little tough. I'd say don't even worry about raising hands or anything like that. As if no one else is talking, feel free to just chime right in, and we will do the best we can. But so what defines a game? You don't have to give the whole definition of a game, but if you have like little elements or ideas or descriptions, let's just start tossing them out here.
Something that can be played.
Okay. All right. I'm generally, for right now, just going to kind of take these down without a whole lot of discussion. So, but if somebody says something and that triggers something for you, you can work off of it. So something that's played.
Something that's fun.
Okay.
Something. A mission or a goal.
Okay. So we need a goal. What was the other word? Goal or?
Mission.
Okay. All right. And somebody else was also just chiming in there.
No, I was going to say the exact same thing. I was going to say something fun with like a common goal in mind.
Okay. Great minds thinking alike. Same thing at the same time. All right. What else?
Reading comments. And I also agree some sort of level of competition.
All right. I can type. I really can. All right. So competition is involved.
Some sort of established rules.
Okay. So we want some rules in place. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going.
It may be archaic, but winners and losers.
Okay. What else? We think we've covered it all. If we were to put this into a 1 or 2 sentence description, is this enough for us to be able to say this thing's a game, that thing's not a game?
It ends in some kind of results, or fairly definitive results.
Okay, definitive results at the end.
Maybe some type of time limit or time restraint.
Okay.
There could be skill involved as well.
Okay, so skill in order to be able to do whatever needs to be done. All right. Anything else? I don't want to force anyone to throw anything in that they don't think should belong there, but just want to make sure we think we've covered what we want to cover with this. I mean, I looking at it, it looks like we've got a lot of things. I mean, let's see, we had a game night here at home the other night. We played a bunch of them. One of them, does anybody know the game Quirkle? It's actually, Quirkle we started playing it when my daughter was pretty young. And the great thing about it is it's truly a game that sort of any age can play and actually play well. Like, it's not a game where you as the parent have to pretend to lose so that your kid doesn't feel so bad. It's kind of like Scrabble in a way, except that it's tiles that just have colored shapes on them. and you try to make rows that are either all the same color or all the same shape. And you can have up to 6 in a row because there's 6 colors and 6 shapes. So the rules are super, super simple. So if I just think of like a game like that, I mean, it is something we played. It was fun. We've been playing it for years. So if it wasn't fun, we wouldn't be doing it. There is a goal to the game. You're supposed to try to be the get rid of your tiles first completely. There is a common goal to it because we're all trying to get rid of our tiles and we're all building onto the same board. It is a competition because only one person wins and the other people lose on a given game. There are definitely rules to it. One of the things we like about that particular game is that the rules are pretty simple. But I certainly know there are games out there that the rule book is like a 50-page, novel. There were definitely definitive results to it. The game ends at a particular time. I guess that's also the time limit thing. So we know when the game is finished because a person gets rid of all their tiles, and at that point, everybody knows where they stand. You write down your scores. And skill, in terms of that physical skill, you have to be able to pick up a tile and put it in place. But it also takes a little bit of mental skill because you have to be strategizing and thinking about where you want to put your tiles and how to get rid of as many tiles as you can each turn. So certainly, if I pick a random game, certainly all of these things seem to apply to that game. So we seem to be in pretty good shape here. So what I would like to do next, let me just make sure I've saved this, is, and this is also a perfect time because we're about an hour into the class, is I have in week 1 of the Moodle, I've got an article here. And what I think would make the most sense at this point is we will take a Zoom break and also maybe a little bit of a just get up and stretch your legs break kind of a thing. But at the same time, just take some time to read through this article. It's 12 pages, but it's really not that long in terms of the actual material. The text is fairly large on the pages. There's a bunch of big diagrams, so it shouldn't take hours to read. And I will also say, while this article has a lot of good things to say, and that's the reason I picked it, there are a couple places where he kind of gets into the nitty-gritty about specific games. Those sections you can kind of skip over if you come to them. If it looks like it's getting into technicalities of a particular game, that's not quite as relevant. But his larger discussion, the larger idea that he's talking about here, I think has some really good things to say about games and about the definition of game. So why don't we do this? It is 5:25. I don't know, reading this is probably a 15-minute or so read. And I also want to give people a little bit of chance to, like I said, just get up, get a drink, get a snack, something like that. So why don't we say 20 minutes total, 5:45, that we will reconvene here. You can stay logged into the classroom, but you can obviously turn your cameras and mics off and all that. But at 5:45, we'll come back together and discuss a little bit about what he has to say. And I think a lot of it will align with things that we already pulled up in that previous discussion. But then what I want to lead to is kind of a definitive definition that we can all agree on moving forward, so that as we talk about games or analyze games, we have a very specific and clear set of ideas about what is it that defines an actual true game. So that'll be our goal when we come back together. So we'll have that discussion when we come back. I will talk a little bit about the work that's due next week and so on, and we definitely easily will be out of here by 6:30 if we come back at 5:45. So that'll be our plan. So 5:45 back here, and we'll talk a little bit more about the definition of a game, and we'll go from there. All right. See y'all in 20.